Hi, I'm Jann Purdy. I teach French. I started out at Pacific University teaching French, but I'm the chair of the International Studies Program, chair of Study Abroad, and my colleague, Andree, she teaches German, but more importantly, she's the director of our Centers for Languages and International Collaboration. And the title of our presentation, Centering Languages and Intercultural Perspectives for Campus-Wide Global Learning, is really talking about a new program, an emerging program at Pacific called the Global Scholars Program. Can't quite read it there on the screen, but it says Global Scholars Program. When we set out to create the Global Scholars Program, we started out with the question, why? So why do we need a global learning program when budgets are being winnowed to the bone and we couldn't expect any funding from within our university? And so our answer was threefold. First, like all of you, I'm sure, who were here today and watching virtually, you're dedicated to the excellence of undergraduate education. And we have just seen the important impact of global learning and it being a high-impact practice. We also we're doing global learning at Pacific University, but we really wanted to leverage the existing building blocks in global learning to create a high-value global learning program that offered a more effective curricular pathway for students and also increase the accessibility of global learning for students. And that brings us to the second reason and motivation for building a new program, and that was to provide more accessibility to all our students. So Pacific University is a small liberal arts college located about 40 minutes from west of Portland in a small rural town called Forest Grove, and about 50% of our 1,900 undergraduate students qualify for Title IV need-based funds, and 50% identify as non-white or multi-ethnic. And so we really wanted to make, those are historically underrepresented students in study abroad and in global learning. And so we really wanted to figure out what's a way where we can engage our students, and the majority, or at least half of our students, in doing more in global learning. And so we also, the third reason was in terms of our mission. So serving the global community is an important part of our mission statement, and faculty and administration are really dedicated to that. They're really committed. But Eric and I saw that really our undergraduate requirements and our core was falling short of that. So that's another reason we thought we needed to create a program that more fully aligned with our mission to quote our mission statement, to educate students as global leaders who think, care, and pursue justice in our world. So once we knew why we wanted to build a global studies program, we wanted to know how. Oops. How? So how do you build a program when it's just two people and we have no budget, or next to no budget? And so our first step was to research, and that's when we started looking at what everyone else was doing at small colleges, and that was, again, the inspiration for this symposium. What's out there? What are people doing? We were hoping we could capitalize on the creativity that's already out there. And we discovered hundreds of programs, global scholars programs, and we really saw the importance of sharing models. And then what we decided to do was identify the resources on our campus. Key among these were our world languages courses, which are together with the 5 languages that we teach, we're the biggest major on our campus and one of the bigger departments. And we also have a strong core requirement of international and diverse perspectives. So those were 2 things that we knew we wanted to use as our center, as our title of our presentation indicates. The next step in developing the Global Scholars Program was collaboration. So we really need to, as others have mentioned, bring together our stakeholders. This was key. And so that includes our admissions staff, the admissions recruiters that are meeting with prospective students. That was really important, and that was one of our discoveries, was how important they are as the marketing arm of our university. So they're going out and meeting these students and having them know about our program and be on board with our program was really important to generating enthusiasm. And there were many others, the Study Abroad Committee, our Student Multicultural Center, the Office of International Programs. It was a really long list of people that we identified on campus as our stakeholders. And we brought them together in a workshop to talk about the focus of our Global Scholars Program. And we invited Diversity Abroad Network to help us identify both our strengths and what we needed to build and how to make our program accessible and reduce barriers to underrepresented students. We were able to bring Diversity Abroad Network to our campus, and you can see their logo there at the bottom, because we applied for and were granted a capacity building program for study abroad grant. And that's also how Eric and I are here at the conference. So this workshop with all the stakeholders provided this energy and momentum and buy-in and enthusiasm for the program. So we are already seeing the effects of having brought those people together. So gathering our research and our resources and our stakeholders, we crafted a 4-year global learning pathway that students follow to internationalize any major and to take a deep dive into intercultural perspectives. And so now that I've provided some background to the origins of the Global Scholars Program, Erica is going to talk about the scope and the sequence of the program.
Thanks, Jann. So we talked about the how. We talked about how we gathered up our resources. We brought together stakeholders. So let me tell you a little bit now about the program that we put together, this 4-year program. So this brings us to the what of the Global Scholars Program. It's a 4-year curricular pathway that can be applied to any major that a student chooses to pursue. The first year of the Global Scholars Program serves as an introduction to global learning. We provide in the first year early scaffolded exposure to study abroad. During the first year, students participate in a Global Scholars first year seminar and also in a companion winter travel course. So these courses are designed to work together to bring together a cohort of students that studies an internationally focused topic in the Global Scholars Seminar, and that course then also serves as a prep course for a 2 to 3 week travel course in the winter term that is led by the same faculty member and brings that cohort of global scholars abroad in our winter term. So all first year students at Pacific have to take the global a first year seminar. Our Global Scholars first year seminar, though, it just allows a global focus and that travel course. First-year students generally are not allowed to travel at Pacific, and so this is an opportunity, again, to bring really early exposure to global learning and study abroad, which has been shown to increase capacity for longer-term programs. So all of these, the first-year seminar and the winter travel course are supported by 3 important high-impact practices. Diversity in global learning is itself a high-impact practice. We combine that with first-year seminar, also a high-impact practice, and bringing together this cohort of global scholars, creating a learning community as well. These high-impact practices are also undergirded by a set of equity practices that increase the opportunity for a broad range of students to participate in global learning. So we engage in targeted outreach. We recognize the values and skills that our students are already bringing. Maybe they have advanced second language skills. Maybe they're coming from a background where they're doing a lot of code switching or are multilingual. And so we recognize those and identify those as strengths for our students. And then also, providing early exposure to global learning is also shown to increase the participation of diverse students in study abroad. The second year of the Global Scholars Program we think of as a deep dive, and a deep dive into global learning. So so at Pacific, all students are required to take 4 credits of a world language and 2 credits of international and diverse perspectives. IDP designated coursework. Together with language, IDP courses are central to global learning at Pacific. The language requirement is self-explanatory, but let's take a closer look at the international and diverse perspectives designation. So, to receive the IDP designation, a course must substantially focus on international perspectives to help students understand cultural diversity through the examination of languages, values, and practices from around the world. It must also offer diverse perspectives to help students understand how social categories and cultural contexts influence one's understanding of the world. And finally, to receive an IDP designation, a course must also address intercultural learning to help students understand how cultural self-awareness promotes effective cross-cultural interaction. Now at Pacific, we don't relegate this IDP coursework to, or the international coursework to, say, world languages or the history department. And we don't relegate diversity to, say, sociology. Any course across the curriculum can receive this IDP designation. This is really central because it allows students to get a deep dive across the curriculum. Also, we really value the complementarity of the international perspectives and the diverse perspectives, and we see that intercultural learning in the center is really the nexus of those 2 areas. So, to take a look quickly at our general ed core curriculum, every student at Pacific is going to be taking these 4 credits of world language and 2 credits of international and diverse perspectives. That's really the heart of global learning at Pacific. We didn't think that that was adequate. We wanted to find a pathway that would really deepen, allow that deep dive into intercultural learning. So we found a way to add IDP courses across the curriculum. So a global scholar not only will take that first-year seminar, not only language and international and diverse perspectives, but will be taking courses across the core, allowing for that deep dive and multidisciplinary analysis of intercultural learning. So that brings us to the 3rd year. So students have done all of this coursework, this IDP coursework. They've had first-year seminar. They've had a little experience abroad. Now we really want to give students an opportunity to apply those skills, to apply their language skills, to apply their intercultural learning skills. And that comes in the 3rd year through study abroad or internship. Now, that's not revolutionary. Lots of us are sending our students abroad. But what we do is we also provide students with a set of global skills courses that they're wraparound support courses that help students to really take advantage of that study abroad experience. We know that immersion and exposure isn't enough to provide global learning. These global skills courses really allow students to frame their experience and to reflect on it. So students will take a 2-credit Global Skills 1 before they travel abroad. While they're abroad, they're taking a 1-credit Global Skills 2. And then when they return, they'll complete it with another 1-credit Global Skills 3, where they can really reflect on their process. And a lot of studies show that's really where the learning happens. So application of their intercultural learning, application of their language learning really increases when they are able to apply those skills in study abroad or internship. So this brings us to the 4th year, integration. In the 4th year, students integrate their global learning with the student's chosen major. Again, this is meant not to be a major in itself, but to be an overlay onto any major that a student chooses to pursue. So keep in mind that concurrent with taking all of those IDP designated classes and their study abroad, students are also taking coursework in their major. The culmination of their studies at Pacific is a senior capstone. So every senior, regardless of their major, is going to do a senior capstone in their major field. But for global scholars, we really integrate the students' IDP core, their experience abroad, and their major coursework into an integrated global scholars capstone. Now, at completion of the program, global scholars will receive a transcript notation indicating that they've been part of this program, this global learning experience, and a graduation chord which acknowledges their unique accomplishments. So, as you can see, we took a bunch of existing resources, nothing magical about these things going on, but we packaged them into this global learning overlay that any student can use to take a deep dive into global learning and really augment their major. Now that we've gone over the what, Jann is going to talk a little bit about the lessons that we learned and some of the advantages that we have as small colleges.
Right, so just to recap some of the important lessons that we learned and that we think are really useful for building a global learning program on a small campus. The first takeaway from our process was, as I mentioned before, leveraging resources, existing resources. Erica mentioned because of our limited budget, we can't create new courses at Pacific. We've had a freeze on creating any new courses. We've had a hiring freeze. So we can't hire new faculty to teach this program. And so we had to take what we already had and repackage it and sort of make it more visible and make it a more comprehensive program. This meant for us, among other things, as Erica had just explained, amplifying our IDP requirement, which IDP courses are in all of our 3 schools at Pacific. So it's in the School of Social Sciences, in the School of Natural Sciences, and in Arts and Humanities. IDP courses are taught throughout. So we just amplified that, and as students worked through their core, they have to have the IDP core designation attached. So that was one way that it was already existing, it was already available to us, and we just repackaged it. We also recognized the power of mission alignment and reconfigured our existing FYS and travel courses. So our main recommendation to anyone who's out there who is just in the beginning process of this is to look at what you already do well and see where you can shed new light on what you do. So, moreover, we also saw that the very constraints. Oh, what I wanted to say is we're going to conclude here with some thoughts on some of the small college advantages. We discovered that small colleges can have a competitive edge over bigger staffed, better endowed institutions. So some of the very constraints on our budgets and staffing results in an interdisciplinary collaborative work on campus. So we've all mentioned that we wear many hats. So I have a degree, my doctorate is in French, but I teach intercultural communication. I head the international studies program. And Erica, I'm on many different committees, and Erica teaches German, but also runs the Center of Languages and Intercultural Collaboration. And so we're having to be in a lot of places at the same time, and that's actually one of the advantages. So some of the same faculty that teach FYS also teach our travel courses, also teach IDP designated courses, also teach in their discipline. And so a global scholar over their 4 years is likely to work with the same faculty in a lot of different capacities. And so that we see that as an advantage. This variety of contact also fosters mentorship, and we know that mentorship is one of the really important factors in helping underrepresented students respond to the complex barriers for study abroad. We think this individualized guidance is really helpful in that. And then along similar lines, we see that we're really good at creating community and this sense of belonging. Braskamp et al. And their research shows really significantly how students, especially if they haven't had prior exposure to study abroad, they really need first that sense of belonging on their campus to provide a foundational launch pad for intercultural learning. And finally, small budgets actually and small staffing, it's kind of provides an agility and a flexibility that others have mentioned. So Erica and I joke that we're driving a global learning program from the seat of a smart car. And so we're actually building this car. We're the sole engineers of this program. So we're building this car as we're driving it. And when we see a curve in the road, we can make these little adjustments. So we actually see that we're starting to realize that there are some advantages to that. And finally, we've come a long way in developing the program, but there's some things we need to learn. One is lateral entry for our transfer students who are often underrepresented. And then also, we need to continue to decrease barriers and increase options domestically. Since a majority of our students don't study abroad, we still need to infuse global learning. And finally, we really want to keep in focus our advanced language proficiency. So our global scholars come in with a lot of language. Many of them do, but for those who don't, we really need to figure out how we can increase their language proficiency, all the while not adding too many courses to their work. So we wanted just to thank you all. We look forward to learning from you in our discussion. Merci, danke. If you'd like to contact us for references or any other information, we have our contact information here.